In the last videos I've often talked about the new UI in Zammad, so I thought let's take a look today. If you're using Zammad 6.5, you already have access to this UI. This interface is still work in progress and might still miss some features you might expect in a UI. Overall, it already is a huge improvement over the old UI. As I already mentioned, with the current version of Zammad 6.5, you already have access to this. You can change to the new UI by using your Zammads URL/desktop. Let me show you a change that might be very interesting for many of you. As you can see, you have no further limitation of tabs. Let's compare the two interfaces side by side. The first thing that you might notice is that the dashboard is missing entirely. It's not yet clear if it will come back at all. Everything that you do in a UI will be synced back to the other one. Just to warn you, this interface currently is only available for agent interaction. This means that the configuration of Zammad still happens in the old interface for now. This decision allows the team to ship the new interface much faster in chunks. Visually, this might remind you on the mobile interface. This was a proof of concept for the new desktop view. No matter if in existing tickets or in the new ticket dialog, you will have the new editor of Zammad. There's also some new options in this editor that you can't use in the old UI. For example, the option to use inline code or use a whole code block. This editor also uses paragraphs, so if you want to stay in the same paragraph, you have to use Shift-Enter. Finally, you can also indent text or outdent it. This gives you great styling options to help your customers to understand your answers better. Of course, a native way to use inline images. However, at least in my current version, I can't resize it yet, so it's a little bit... There's still stuff to do, you see. Much more important is the option to use named links. And of course, finally, you can use tables natively. The rest will look fairly familiar to you. The main difference in this interface, apart from its looks, is the positions of the functions. Everything else is still there. But wait, there's more. What this editor doesn't tell you is that you also can use Markdown. Most of the things that work in a Markdown editor also works here. This has been requested by the community over the time. This gives you 3 options on how to adjust styling in your texts. If enabled, the attachment listing will be hidden as long as there's nothing to show. Talking about attachments, Zammad now helps you previewing images. You can rotate them as needed, you can zoom in, zoom out, and of course, reset the view. Something that still doesn't work is the highlighting function. It was already buggy in the old interface actually. Yeah, well, but as I said, it's still a work in progress, right? So it should get better in the future. You still have the save draft and macro execution on the right side next to the update button. This is actually the same like in the old interface. Same goes for the stay on top functionality. A major difference in the ticket zoom is the way Zammad gives you options on the articles itself. The default enter node or select attachment section is no longer there. Instead, you can use the more prominent options to interact with the ticket on the bottom, or still use the actions on each article. If you use add reply on the lower end, it will automatically insert the ticket customer for you. This is also a major improvement. What's also new is the way Zammad handles space. In the old interface, you could click on some interface parts to hide them. This is entirely different in this interface. You can't just hide stuff, but also decide on a width you would like to have. The notification area still has the same place as you're used to. What's new is the behavior of Zammad's search function. It will show you a list of recently viewed objects. It will also show you a list of recent searches. These recent searches can be reused. Something that is also new is that Zammad no longer has a pagination. You just scroll through the content and Zammad will load more content as long as there's more. Something that is fundamentally different is the bulk operations in Zammad. It no longer has the pull dialog. Instead, you can use the bulk actions dialog. Here you can adjust the default attributes group, owner, state and priority, just like in the old interface, and optionally add a node. In this bulk operation area you can also use macros to run on all tickets you have selected before. You see the interface changed, but the functionality was not lost. Something that has been cleaned up is that the options button no longer is available in overviews. This was confusing for agents with administrator permissions because this option is global and not a personal choice. By clicking on your avatar you still have the options like in the old interface. The only thing that has been moved is the recently viewed part. Right now, at least in my version, I cannot use the keyboard shortcuts here. Now to the profile settings. The interface has some neat features. You can now filter for areas, even if the setting is part of this area. Let's search for dark, for example. It will only show me the appearance interface. If I filter for ticket here, it will show me all areas that are related to the search. You will most likely also see this in the admin area when it's ready. Everything else in this area is basically the same like in the old interface, but new. But looks much fancier. Clicking on the settings button will simply redirect you to the old interface for now. As I said, this is a work in progress. Some things I showed you might still need polishing. The legacy view will still be available for some time. As the past has shown in the last years, this transition is quite complicated and a lot. If you have trouble with the desktop view, consider using the legacy view as fallback. If you want that your users can access the new desktop view much easier, you can enable the setting UI desktop beta switch. If you set this to true, Zammad will show a new beta UI switch. By enabling or disabling the switch, your users can switch in between the two interfaces. If your users don't want to see the hint, they can simply use the X to disable the hint. Within the profile settings, they can re-enable this hint at any time. If you set the hidden setting to false, the remark will be gone. Something that is not ready yet are the user and organization zooms. This also affects editing organizations and users. If you want to edit a user or organization, you will have to use the legacy view. Right now the new interface focuses on ticketing only. I hope that you liked this preview. Let me know what you think in the comments. Also while you're down there in the comments, let me know what you would like to see next. It doesn't matter if it's Zammad related or not. Until next time, take care.